Greetings, crafty friends. Welcome to an episode of Angela Shows You. Today, I just wanted to take a minute and talk kind of a little bit about some inspiration on products that you might find at the store that maybe you see them and you don't love them, but you're like, hmm. So I had purchased this three drawered little box. I bought this at Hobby Lobby a couple months ago. It was on clearance for $7. I was like, okay, that's ugly. It was white. It had green lines on it. I didn't really like it very much at all. But I was like, you know what? That's a great price. It's got the three drawers on it. And I was like, okay, it wouldn't cost much to go ahead and do something with this. So what I actually ended up doing was I grabbed some paint and I painted not the drawers, but I painted the sides and I painted anything that was going to show. So I painted the tops here. And then what I did was I went through, I had some of these papers that were in these little books that you can buy at any of the craft shows. Usually have a paper crafting department. So what I did was I picked out a couple papers out of, you don't even need the pad. You can just go pick pattern paper, like whatever you like. Pick what you like. I happen to have this little booklet of all these pretty papers in it. And so all I did was I went through and I picked out ones that I had two of because it has the two drawers and I wanted the two top ones to be the same. Usually, like, the nice thing about the pads is if you are not, some people have a hard time putting things together that coordinate, and the nice thing about these pads is that usually all the papers that are in the pad are, they coordinate well together. So I had chosen two pieces that matched, and then just a different piece out of for the long drawer at the bottom. So I picked out three pieces of paper, and then I took some Mod Podge. I painted each drawer, and then I took the paper. For the first thing I did was I cut the paper. I trimmed it down just a little bit. Then I took the Mod Podge and I put it on the drawer. Then I adhered the paper and I took an X-Acto knife and I cut all around, let that dry. Then I took another coat of Mod Podge, put it on over it. Then what I did was I took a fine grit sandpaper, sanded it all down so that it was smooth. And then I actually ended up taking the paint color that I had chosen and I took a sponge and I just really lightly dabbed around the edges so that, I don't know that you can really tell very well, but I dabbed around the edges of the corners and the edges. Oh, you can see it a little bit better here, just to kind of give it almost like a distressed look a little bit. And I did that on all of it. And I think you can probably see that a little bit better on here on the bottom one. So I just took a little bit of the paint that I did on the sides and I used a sponge and I just dabbed really lightly. And then if you want it to be a little bit darker or a little bit thicker, what I would recommend is, if you're going to do something like that, dab it lightly And then if you want more, keep dabbing really lightly. You can always continue dabbing to make it larger, make it um, darker. It's easier to add to when you're doing something like this. It's very difficult to take away if you overdo it. So it's much easier to start a little bit slower and then add those touches until you get it to where you want it. And then the other thing that you could do if you wanted to, I did not do it on this one. I left the Mod Podge as my final top, but if you wanted to give it an additional top coat, you could do some sort of polyacrylic over the top of it. If you wanted it to be a little bit shinier, you know, this would be a great option to make it shinier. Sometimes you can get the polyacrylic that comes, like this one's a clear gloss. So this would give the outside of anything that I put on it a real shiny glossy finish, but I opted to not do that with this. So I purchased this at Target. You know, when you walk into Target, they've got that like $1, $3, and $5 section right at the beginning of the store. So I purchased this. It's a little stand. It has bottoms. It's this square one here. So it's got the stands. This was $5, and I'm like, okay, I don't really care too much for this, and I also don't know that I necessarily want it this color. So I think for this, we're going to do the same thing. I'll be doing this as a video hopefully this week. What we're going to do is we're going to either paint or stain this, and then we're going to do the paper thing, and we're going to make this, we're going to transform this from this, I don't want to call it ugly, but it's not something that I'm digging. So I'm going to take this and we're going to transform it into something that's much, much prettier. So please stay tuned, because this is going to be a project that's coming up, and I hope that you will tune in and take a look at it and let me know what you think of the before and after. Let me know what you think of this. You know, and if you've done anything similar, I would be very interested to hear if you did a different technique, a different process to get to your end result, or if you followed kind of the similar process that I did. Because, you know, as a crafter, I'm always looking for different ideas of ways to approach things. This was something that I had done before and it worked well, so I decided to do it again for this one. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to keep this box. I can't decide if I'm going to keep it or if I'm going to take it to a future craft show to sell it. I have 3 craft shows coming up over the next 3 weekends. So I am trying to decide if I want to keep this. I'm leaning towards selling it, but I haven't 100% decided yet. And then the stand, though, I actually purchased because I do craft shows. I actually purchased this because I want to use this as a small riser, as a display for some of my products. So I want it to go a little bit with the rest of my displays, which I don't have anything that's light like this. So we are going to be transforming this. So please subscribe to the channel Angela Shows You, so that you don't miss when we do this tray later on this week. And please give this video a thumbs up if you like this, if you found the process to be helpful, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.